Hello, welcome for the presentation of my project for my synths class. And in this presentation, I would be showing you different features like voice stealing, portamento, vector synthesis, and wavetable morphing. So let's first start with the feature of voice stealing. So for voice stealing, the process that I would be following is I would just pick random combination of four notes and I would keep on adding new notes after that, and you will not only hear the new notes, but also if I hold off the older notes, you will still be able to hear the same tonal quality. So basically this synth has like a four note polyphony. So to maintain that, we are stealing the voice from the oldest note that has been pressed. So that's the concept behind voice stealing. So let me start off with some basic combination. So this is the initial combination. Let me add some more notes. As you can see, I held off the earlier notes and the combination is still the same. So this is how we did the voice stealing. Let me try out some random notes. So basically every time you press a key on the keyboard, you will definitely get the respective sound. Now let me move on to the next feature, which is the portamento. The portamento effect is nothing but gliding from one note to another. The first note being the note which you press the last, and the second note or the next note is the one which you are pressing at that moment. So the rate with which it glides from the previous note to the next note is controlled by this glide knob. When this glide knob is at zero position, that means the portamento effect is off or it's ineffective. So let me just pick a random value for the glide and let's just see how this effect would actually sound. So for getting the concept clear, let me just press a single key two or three times just to show that this very key is the last press key as well as the present key. So there is no difference between these two keys, so you wouldn't hear a gliding effect. And now I would be pressing a new key wherein you would listen to the gliding effect. So just a recap, this key was the last pressed one and this was the present one. Hence we could see the gliding effect from the previous to the current one. Now if I press this note again, you wouldn't hear any gliding effect. Now let me reduce the glide time to show how it may sound. This is for very short glide time. Let me increase it to a greater value. If you hold off with some combination of notes and adjust the glide time accordingly, you can get some really interesting patterns. So we'll see that right now. And you can dynamically change the glide time, and the gliding would result based on the current value of the knob. Moving on to the next feature, which is nothing but the vector synthesis, which is like addition of basically wavetable oscillators and virtual analog oscillators, and I would be controlling their contributions or their respective contents via this trackpad. So if I move this knob to the B node, that means I am getting what I call the processed wavetable wave, which is both these wavetable oscillators pass through the ADSR curve. When I move it to the node A, I get the virtual analog oscillators pass through this ADSR curve, and the C and D nodes are nothing but the raw waves, which I call like unprocessed waves, which are the wavetable oscillators as well as like the virtual analog oscillators, like the combinations, individual combinations that is not being passed through this ADSR curve. So it's kind of a raw signal. However, you can still adjust their filter cutoff frequency of the dual peak low pass resonant filter that we have made for this synth. And also it gives you a freedom of choosing between various type of oscillator values like saw, square, triangle, sine, and these three are the new type of waves that I have created using the wave edit software, and it each has like a really good tonal quality. So let me just give you like a short demo of how it sounds. Let me turn off the glide value so that we can hear the tone itself. So this is how the PM wave sounds. Let's move on to a random sound. It's just a random sequence of waves. So this is how it sounds. So all these wavetables were generated using the wave edit software and was integrated into Rackafx. And last but not the least is the swipe sound. So this is the sound that I will be using for demonstrating my morphing wavetables, which I would do after this. So let's start with the vector synth. For that to take place, I just need to switch on the vector synth switch. And now we'll just see how it sounds. Let me put it to saw back. Now we can just traverse around this area and see the different tonal qualities that we get via different combinations. As you can see, it generates various tonal qualities. Now you can play around with the different waveforms. I would like to specially show the poly wave. That's the polynomial wave that I had created for demonstrating the blep. So these are the waves with discontinuities that is corrected via blep. We can also use the modulation matrix that I have created specially for the synth, and a combination of the modulation matrix and the vector synth gives you some really interesting sounds. So I've made a few presets for it. Let's check those. Now let's just move around the combinational area. You can get some really unique tones. I also have a delay panel here which consists of left and right delay time, basically the feedback knob, dry wet knob, and basically there are two types of delay that we are offering, which is like normal and second is ping pong. So let's see like a cumulative effect of all these factors together. So here I would be modulating the cutoff frequency of the dual peak low pass resonant filter. Let me change the cutoff frequency as well so that we can hear that effect. So as you can see, we can generate really interesting tones. So we can play around with the LFO rates as well. As well as with the tones of the wavetable oscillators. So it generates really a unique sound. And depending upon the application for which you are using, you can just select the type of combination. So this was all about the vector synth, and let me now move on to the wavetable morphing. So as I said, this is the waveform that I'll be selecting to demonstrate my morphing. So I have like 63 wavetables to morph through, and this is my morph knob which was traverse through all those wavetables basically. And I named it swipe just because like I'm using like a morphing tool to swipe through the different waveforms that I've created using wave edit. I had like started with like a basic FM sine tone and just randomize its different parameters in its consequent wavetables. So now let's hear how it sounds. Let me just switch off the vector synth. So as you can see, as I'm increasing the morphing, it's going through all the different wavetables in the group. Since all are randomized, you will not hear a definite pattern, but it's traversing through all those wavetables. And you can use basically any pattern to again get back to the vector synth and again play with it. So this is like an unprocessed version of the morphing. We can also incorporate the glide node and use like a combination of the morph table, the filter cutoff value, the LFOs, the delay, the modulation matrix, and the glide value, also combined with the vector synth pad that we have now to create a sound. So let's see what sound can we generate with it. So this was all about the features that I had for my synth. So just to give you a quick recap, I displayed the functionality of voice stealing, I displayed the portamento effect, I displayed the vector synth effect, and also wavetable morphing, and also I introduced with some of the new wavetables that I had added using the wave edit software, and some interesting sound that we could create via combinations of all these things. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you like it.